Hi, everyone. I'm your host, Patty Giarrusso, and this is Let's Talk Pets on Society Bites Radio. Last year, I did a show that I called What Would You Do? And I liked it, and I hope you did too. And if you didn't, I'm going to do another one because we've had some new experiences with lost and found pets. And I'd like to do the show again and ask you to listen to some of these situations that are real life situations, and I'm going to ask you, what would you do? And I'd like you to kind of think about it, each situation, and would you have acted the same way and done the same thing? Because it would matter whether or not the pet got home, how you would answer that question. And over the course of the year, we hear a lot of things, and I'm sure you've seen or heard people say things like the dog needs a better home, or just keep it, or oh, that looks like it's been abused or neglected. Or another one is, oh, it looks like you've got a new pet. People say things like that every single day when they're, especially a cute little dog or a kitten or something like that is found. And you need to really consider that more than likely that found pet has an owner. So we're going to talk about a few things, and I would like you to consider each case when I tell you the stories and think about what you would really do. And here's some of the things we're going to talk about. One of them would be, what if your grandmother or your elderly parent had their pet run away? Would you know what to do? Would they know what to do? And number two, would you try to give a dog away if you found it at a local dog park? That one I talked about last year, but this year we had one very similar. And what would you do if you found a dog inside a fenced property at a local guide dog facility? Would you immediately think it was abandoned? Or what if you saw a little dog running in your neighborhood for maybe a week dragging a leash? Would you think that dog was dumped? Or would you think it was lost? And would you want to help it get back home again? And then the last one, if you found a cat, would you want to keep it? Or would you consider looking for the owner? Or would you think it needs a better home? These are some of the questions and stories I'm going to ask you on today's show. Generally, I talk with people each week. I have different guests on, and we share different stories and helpful tips about keeping pets safe and different information and ways to help lost pets. And each month I have a regular guest on, Kathy Poblowski from Lost Pets of America, or Lost Dogs of America, I should say. And we share important topics based on experiences that we've seen from across the United States. And we invite you to write in and ask us questions or offer suggestions for different show topics that you might be interested in. And we'd be happy to do them and talk about that, because the purpose of this show is to help educate pet owners and pet lovers on how to keep their pets safe. So for those of you who have never listened to the show, let me officially introduce myself. I am Patty Giarrusso, and I'm the president of Lost Pets Services, which is a nonprofit organization, and I'm the host of this show, Let's Talk Pets. Lost Pet Services reunites pets in Sarasota and Manatee County here in Florida. And about 6 years ago, I lost my two dogs, Jackson Brown and Rocco, because my husband was doing yard work and he forgot to close the gate. And shortly after, all of a sudden, I realized the dogs that are constantly under my feet were missing. And I ran out of the house with a leash in my hand, running down the street, stopping cars. I must have looked like an absolute crazy lady. But one thing I discovered while doing that was when people see a crazy lady running in the street with a leash, they stop to help you because they realize that you've probably lost your dog. So people did start helping, and it seemed like it was forever. But a truck finally stopped when he saw me, and he asked me if I lost my dogs, and I, of course, said yes, and on the verge of tears. And he had told me he found them down the road, and he tried to get one of them in the car, and I can only imagine which one it was, would jump in, and the other one wouldn't. But by doing that, thankfully, it turned them around, and they started heading home. And I will never forget seeing Jackson and Rocco trotting down the sidewalk like they were just out for a stroll that day. It was, I mean, Jim and I still talk about it, and we get a smile on our face seeing them walking down the street. But boy, did did that really scare me. And just talking about it, even though my dogs have since passed, it still upsets me thinking about it. So I know what it's like to lose a pet. But I realized when that happened that there wasn't any type of agency really or any kind of help for that situation. And so I started looking on Craigslist and tried to start matching lost and found pets. And it was about the time that Facebook had started groups. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start a group. And I had no idea at the time, I thought, okay, 200 people, whatever. But just about a week or so ago, we hit 25,000 members in my group, 2 counties here in Florida. And we grow by about, I don't know, 100, 200, 300 people every single month. It's just taken off, and we've helped so many people. We've helped people, families, senior citizens, single people, couples, all have been affected by our group. I mean, literally thousands of them. And they all have a reason to smile because Lost Pet Services exists here in our community, and we want to help everybody and the pets that live here. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we work around the clock 365 days a year through an all-volunteer network. We are a Facebook group, and it operates as Lost and Found Pets 941, and we help people navigate the maze of what we call animal services, shelters, SPCA, humane societies, the vets, the social media, anywhere a lost pet might be found. We help direct people in what to do and who to contact. So recently, we did reunite this cat that was lost for 5 years. We found it here in Sarasota, and I'm going to talk about that in one of the stories because we help pets from all different reasons, situations, hurricane evacuations. We've helped dogs and cats and turtles and horses and pigs and goats, birds, rabbits, lizards, snakes even, and we had a donkey this year. That was a first for us, a donkey. So it doesn't matter what kind of pet it is, we will help you if you've lost it. And now I know that, doing this radio show and talking with Kathy every month, how many other people have joined in this quest, I guess, to help reunite pets. So already this year, we're happy to say we reunited over 1,400 pets, and it's probably 1,500 now since I wrote that down. But our goal is to help, get them home and keep them out of the overcrowded shelters. So we're really happy that we're able to help that many pets. And the other thing our nonprofit does is we help fund medical care for injured strays. And if that injured stray is reunited with its owner, we still help it if it's hurt while it's lost. And already this year, we've funded over $16,000 in medical care for injured strays. And sadly, the last 2 weeks have been unbelievably busy in that area. We've lost a couple pets this past month due to getting hit by a car, and we were able to help those families through that. So besides doing all of that, I do this radio show because my passion is helping pets and their families. And sometimes the families aren't found. So in that case, we do help find new homes for those families. So now that you've heard about what I do and the show, I'd like to start in with some of these questions that we were talking about and some of the issues that running a lost pet organization you run into, and how important it is to understand why what you might think about isn't really what you should think about, probably. So the first question was, would your mom or your grandmother know what to do if their pet ran away? And one of the saddest things we run into doing this is when a cute little dog is found and we cannot find its owner. And we always think, what is going on here? But a lot of people are not on social media. They don't know where to turn. And a lot of them don't even know about animal services, animal control. And that always amazes me that they don't know about it. So, what we do is we want to ask people, if you know about what to do, spread the word, help the people that don't. If you're on social media, Facebook in particular, look up your local group and join it. And if you see a found pet in your neighborhood, share the information, help somebody in your neighborhood who may not be on social media, find somebody that needs help and you can help them, because it is so heartbreaking to me when I add another pet to the adopted album, when I think that pet probably has somebody heartbroken but doesn't exactly know what to do. And I do see this too often. So it's really important to think about that. Would your mom or your grandparents or your elderly parents know what to do if they lost a pet, or even your neighbor? Would they know what to do? And try to help them. So that was an easy one. How about question number 2? What would you do if you found a dog at the park, the local dog park, when you went there in the morning and it was just left there and it appeared to be abandoned? We talked about this one last year, and it was a true story. And thankfully, the girl that found it, she was going to give it away because, it was abandoned. It was abandoned. Well, it wasn't abandoned. It was somebody's pet, and it must have been that the finder left it there because it was a safe place and they probably couldn't take it. So it was reunited. But this year we had a very similar situation where a little dog, a little Shih Tzu dog, was found inside a fenced-in property at a local guide dog facility. Now, what would you do in that case? Would you think, that pet's been abandoned? Because everyone wants to jump into that it's been abandoned mindset immediately. But in this case, it wasn't. And Lily is home safe with her family thanks to the caring people there at Florida Dog Guides, where this dog was left. They immediately reached out to us, and they did not jump to the conclusion that she was dumped or she was abandoned, because the Good Samaritan must have left her there knowing it was a safe place for her, and they obviously couldn't hold on to her. So thankfully, the people at Florida Dog Guides, which, by the way, is a wonderful group that provides guide dogs to veterans here in our area in Bradenton, Florida, they did the right thing. They kept her safe overnight until we were able to find a temporary foster. And Paula, who stepped up to foster her while we looked for the owner, was wonderful, and she helps us out a lot, and we want to thank her. So Lily had no ID. She didn't have a microchip. So it took a couple days, but eventually Lily's family contacted us and they were reunited. And her owner was in tears. She actually called me in tears when she saw the post and knew that Lily was safe. She'd had Lily since she was a puppy, and Lily was a senior pet. I can't remember how old she was, but she was well into her teens. So would you have done the same thing, or would you have thought she was dumped and abandoned there inside that fence and just thought, I'm just going to keep this dog? Always think that maybe there's something else going on there. You should always think lost and not dumped, abused, or a stray, because so many displaced pets not only are left in situations like that, but they might look in terrible condition. They might act scared. They may even be considered feral because of how frightened they are when they're lost. And who knows how long they've been lost. Now, Buddy, who was the one that was left in the dog park, just happened to be my ex-son-in-law's best friend's dog. I mean, it's a small world, and you never know who you may be helping out. So please don't assume that a dog that you find is dumped, abandoned, or neglected, because it could be someone's long-lost pet who's been looking for it for quite a long time. And it was just left somewhere because the finder considered it a safe place. Now, number 3 was if you saw a little dog running around, dragging a leash with a harness on, and it's been seen for a while, and by now it's in terrible condition because it's rained every day. And would you think that this dog had a family, or that this dog has been abandoned and it needs a new one? Well, in this case, it all went wrong. But in the end, the dog was reunited with his 89-year-old owner, who pulled over to get gas on his way home